Hotel and welcome. Kemetic legacy today. Kemetic legacy today. Life, health, and strength to you all. Kemetic legacy today. Hotel. Kemetic legacy today.
Hetepu. Welcome to Kemetic Legacy Today, your weekly journal of ancient African, ancient Kemetic, history, and spirituality. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jedin Ma'at Atenra.
And my name is Anika Daniels Osaze, also known as Unfurka Ma'at. Welcome.
This week we are so pleased to be able to be with an esteemed guest, someone who we've known for quite some time, and he is one of the chief adherents of the Kemetic legacy in the United States, but certainly in our area in New York City. We're sitting here with Mfundishi Jehuti Mes Ka and Heru El Salim. I hope I got his entire name correct. We've known him for some time, and we don't usually speak his entire name, but it's really good to be able to greet you
It's a pleasure
properly.
to be here.
He is the Hemsem Tepe of Black Sacred Gold Cultural Center. And so he has been leading people into the legacy of ancient Kemet for quite some time now, and we're really pleased to be able to talk to him about several different topics today. We're going to talk to him about how he came to the Kemetic legacy. We're also going to get into his expertise. He is one of the foremost masters of African martial arts, so you're really in for a treat as we discuss that some today. And we just want to be able to get to know him a little bit better, and hopefully our audience will have lots of feedback on this incredible man that we're sitting with today.
Wonderful.
And so why don't we just get right into it? Once again, greetings. We're so happy to have you here today.
And it's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful.
To be able to share with you and with the listening audience.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You know, so we can get rid of some myths and
That's right.
get right down to the nitty-gritty.
That's right. Which is essentially what the whole
right.
concept of our show is. Because there's so many misleading bits of information out there about what Kemet is, was, can be. And so our show hopefully allows people to understand that, first of all, Kemet is not dead.
Right.
And second of all, the adherents are very clear about what its legacy has been and will be.
Right.
And so hopefully we'll be able to also get into that a little bit today.
And Medu Necha is not a dead language.
Wow. You
It's
know, one of the things I
alive
didn't
and
mention
well.
is that Baba Mfundishi is actually one of the individuals who has also been teaching the Medu Necha the longest in probably the country, but certainly in this area. There are a few people that you may know that teach the classes on the collegiate level, and they teach it usually from, I'd say, a Western perspective, and that's certainly not the way that all the folks that you have been teaching have approached it. So we're also going to talk a little bit about that too.
Excellent.
So why don't we just start by talking to you about and how you came to this wonderful legacy.
Well, I'd like to, first of all, hopefully ancestors are with us and they give me permission to go forth.
Yes.
We have to understand that the ancestors exist also within us. We are the living ancestors.
That's right.
If we go back to the beginning of time, all those great dynamic forces exist within us. And we are the continuation of that.
That's right.
So hopefully they guide us and they're with us at this moment.
Wonderful.
I happen to be blessed and really honored that at 14 years old, I received a flyer, me and my brother, to go to the Audubon Ballroom to go to a meeting of El Hajj Malik El Shabazz.
Wow.
And so we went there and we were mesmerized. And shortly after that, he went on his trip to Egypt, or to actually toured several African countries. And Betty Shabazz would read the letters that he was sending back and everything. I happen to be the second youth coordinator of the Organization of Afro-American Unity.
I didn't know that.
Right. So me and Professor Small, James Small, are really
Right.
good friends. We go all the way back
Wow.
till 1964, 65.
Incredible.
Right. And so that started me on the quest, a thirst for Africa. Our first class, El Haj Malik said, self-respect, self-determination, self-defense. He said, you're here, so you have self-respect. You're on your way to be somebody, because remember, you were always somebody.
That's right.
You know, self-determination, define now your destiny and see it clearly so that you can walk in that direction. And then self-defense. So starting right now, you will learn martial science. So that was it. At 14, bam, I just got, busy, and I'm already past 60. So that just gives you an idea of how long I've been in the art.
Incredible.
You know?
I did not know that he was past 60.
So that's how I got, but it wasn't just Kemet. It was just the African legacy. I had the pleasure of growing up my first 10 years in Tanzania. So being African wasn't a big thing.
That's right.
And we didn't call ourselves Africans. You were Makunde, or you were Maasai, or you were Kikuyu. You were, that.
Right.
In America they called you an African.
Right.
That's what I am. Okay.
I guess so. Yeah.
But when I graduated from school, undergraduate school. My major was, I was an architect engineer, and my second major was African studies, because we issued in African studies. I'm one of those people that was protesting in the street, and we issued in African studies department in 1967, 68. So I was one of those first students who actually got into African studies.
Right.
And, but I was trying to learn all of Africa, and afterwards I was teaching at an independent African school called Nyeri Educational Institute, named after Julius Nyeri of Tanzania. And for our keynote speaker for graduation was Dr. Ben.
Really?
And I had never heard of Dr. Ben, And so I was the history teacher and the Kiswahili teacher, so they had me read his, his Vita and introduce him.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is somebody I need to know, And from that point on, Dr. Ben couldn't step without me being too far behind.
Wow.
I made 5 classical trips to Egypt with Dr. Ben.
Wow.
I assisted him, so at one time I was his assistant there.
Right.
I went to Ethiopia and Sudan with Dr. Ben, so that's how I really got into Kemet. And Dr. Ben was the one that challenged us and said, we have to stop using these Greek names.
That's right.
Yeah. We have to stop calling Haru Horus.
That's right.
We have to stop calling Aset Isis.
That's right.
We have to use the Kemetic names.
That's
Dr.
right.
Ben would say, read the writing on the wall,
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And so, because he was still using the Greek names, but he was making the younger generation.
Right.
It was our job to take this level, this
figure out what
legacy,
those names
our
were
next
and to
level.
use them. That's right.
Right.
That's
So
right.
that was the challenge. And I
Right.
used to buy all these books on ancient Egypt.
Right.
I couldn't read none of the Medunecha, but
Wow.
something was inspired me to get these books.
Right.
So I got like copies of the Pert M. Haru with no English. I got copies of the coffin texts, the copies of, all these,
With no English.
With no English, just the Medunecha on it, And then I would have books that was written only in German or only in French, but it had the Medunecha.
That's right.
So that's all I needed to see was the glyphs, And then finally in 1984, 85, Sister Riketi Aman came along. And that was my door. She was one of the top linguists. She studied with at the Chicago Institute. She studied with Diop.
That's right.
In Senegal. And she worked with Dr. Jacob Crothers at the Kemetic Institute.
That's right.
And so she became my instructor in the Medunecha. So we had the classes at City College. The first classes we had, like in '85, we had like 70 people in the class, 80 people.
Wow.
Then I went to Medunecha 2, and we had about 30 people.
I figured you would cut almost in half, right?
Then Medunecha 3, it was about 12 of us.
That's right.
And when we got to 4, we took it to Newark Library, into the law library, and we took it there, and it was about 5 of us.
Wow.
And then it got to where I was just coming to her house.
It was the two of you talking.
Like
Right.
that, But
You have to know
so
your
that's,
stuff when it's just you and the instructor.
Right, yeah, because you can't fake it.
No,
you can't
you
be
can't.
behind nobody,
You can't,
But she
Wow.
was a fantastic teacher.
Right.
And we still have a relationship. And now I'm the president of the Pan-African Madu Neche Outreach Society. And Sister Ricchetti is one of our esteemed members.
That's right.
We have Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Sister Latrella Thornton, president of ASCAT. All these are members of our audience. It's really dynamic group. Phil Valentine, his wife, is
Right.
Nalani, Dr.
Right.
Nalani. She's
Right.
a member of the group. She was my student. She
Wow.
also studied with Sister Ricchetti, but she was my student first, And so we still have this relationship because she's still doing dynamic work. We just came out with a new Kemetic calendar. She has a new book or the calendar project, a new updated one. So we're doing reading manuals, conversational reading manuals in Madu Neche.
Wow.
Reading books. So the idea of the society is to people who are in the Kemetic legacy,
Right.
like yourselves, right? Is to be able to supply you
That's right.
with authentic reading material because we've like budged it out, and most of the stuff we're finding is just incorrect now.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right.
So Allen, Petrie, all those people, we need to stop using their books.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because their stuff is not, they're teaching dead hieroglyphics
Yeah.
as opposed to a living Madu Neche.
That's right. That's right.
And so Sister Ricchetti says we have to create our own books. So she's also working on a new encyclopedia dictionary of Kemetic terminologies that Enta Diop started. And she's completing because she's, is trying to complete some of the great works,
Right.
that he's doing.
Wonderful.
Well, speaking of books, you have 2 books of your own.
Yes,
right?
yes. I have
Spiritual Warriors
here
or
we
Healers.
have in 1993 I finished
and Ngumi.
Kupagana and Ngumi.
That's right.
Right. Root symbols of the Necheru in ancient Kemet. Right. So that was 93. And then in 2003, 10 years later, I came out with the first edition of
Right.
Spiritual Warriors or Healers. And then 2009 is the second edition. We sold out. We printed only 5,000 copies, but we sold the 5,000 copies in about a year and a half.
Wow.
Wonderful.
And that's through just no major
right.
distributor. I use African World Books in Baltimore.
Right.
Brother Nadi, beautiful brother there, helped me get this out. And then the second edition, my publishing company, Jehuti Haru Nebhu Publishing Company, put out the second edition. And we're having a great run of
Wonderful.
getting this around the country right now.
And I should say that Kipugani Ngumi was the first gift that my divine reflection Anika gave me when we were initially dating.
That's
Before our marriage, and so
So we were destined to be.
That's right. So we knew that we would know
you.
you. So that's wonderful.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And so your path to Kemet is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Ben. And now I've been over 20 times.
Right.
In more than 25 different countries.
Wow.
Because what I've learned is that as I'm doing study in different countries, all roads keep leading back to Kemet. You go with, I went with Dr. Asa Hilliard, and we're in Sudan, and we travel to Mali, and we're studying the Dogon, and we go in ancient Kemet.
That's right.
I'm a bit of Nana and Ghana among the Ashanti, and the Akan people said we come from Kemet.
Yes, they do.
And each road I go to, we come from Kemet.
It returns to Kemet.
You talk about the ancient Maasai warriors and the Kikuyu. No, we used to be warriors in ancient Kemet.
That's right.
And I'm like, whoa. So my real thirst was, why study the people who are imitating Kemet? Why don't I just go to the real McCoy and just do Kemet?
That's right.
That was the same thing with religions.
Right.
All the religions get their information from the Happy Valley. So why don't I just go and study the Happy Valley?
Now, see, that's a controversial topic. And so we're always easing people because people are already ensconced in their Western religions.
Yes.
And they begin to realize people who are
Well,
being
what
called.
Western religion doesn't have roots in the
But
Happy
you
Valley?
know what happens? They're being called by Kemet.
Yes.
We're talking about African people of African descent.
Right.
They're being called. And that initially they resist the call and then begin to say, well, there's so much that's similar. And you look at them and you say, yes. And then you begin to talk about, give them a time frame. You don't have to say,
Yes.
Yeah.
well, this comes earlier.
That's
you don't
beautiful.
have to
Right
say
there.
that.
Yeah.
That's my
You
best
just
to
give
teach
them
them.
the time frame.
Yeah.
And then they begin to say, well, this happened a long time before.
A long,
And you
long,
just look at them
long,
and you
long
say,
time
yes.
before. Yes.
And then eventually they understand.
Yeah.
So now your immediate family, did they accept this
That's a
whole
really good
concept?
Okay. Let me. I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Question.
Excellent
I really
question.
appreciate that question. When I was in my, when I finished college, first one when I was in college, they were like, "Are you studying that black stuff? Just stick with the engineer."
We all
'Cause
got that,
remember,
right?
Yes, we
I was
did.
architect engineer.
That's right.
Graduated top of my class, right from high school.
Right, right.
Scholarship. I had 36 scholarships when I got out of high school. But that was sports too, sports
Right,
and
right, right.
academics, right?
Right.
And so I'm architect engineer and African studies. So they're
Right.
saying, just drop that black stuff and stick with the architecture and
And
engineering.
engineering.
You can do something is what they usually say.
So eventually, I dropped the architecture engineering and stuck
did
with the
the
black
African.
stuff. And my family was like, "Oh no, that boy's going to hell."
Oh, my
so
goodness.
after I got out and I started teaching at Rutgers University, they're saying he got a job doing that black stuff.
That's right.
So then I was assistant dean, then I became an associate dean. Then they said, well, maybe there's something to that black stuff,
Maybe we weren't aware where he was going, but
Yeah.
obviously it's working out
And
for him.
when I got to my 30s, and I'm still doing the black stuff, and they saying, could you tell us a little bit about that black stuff?
I know, right?
And when I got to my 40s, that was
Right.
it.
Right.
When I came to any family gathering, it was like an E.F. Hutton commercial. If you remember that, when you speak. Now,
Everybody
when
listening.
I'm at certain family gatherings, I have people taking notes.
That's right.
I'm talking about we're at dinner.
That's
what was
right,
that?
that's right.
What herb can I use?
Yeah.
Kim. So I'm proud to say that at my family reunions, and my mother's family almost all come from Georgia and Florida,
Okay.
that the banquet is always African dress. Everyone comes to the banquet in African dress at
Beautiful.
the family reunion.
Wow.
And I didn't like twist nobody's arm or
That's
do
right.
Kupagani on them or anything. Threaten
You
to
didn't
try-
have to, no.
You just
no,
lived
no.
it.
Yeah,
You
I just
lived it.
And people
lived it.
followed.
And they just
Right.
kept, and now we have my brother's a vegetarian. I got all these people who are vegetarians, or at least eating much healthier and things of that nature. People are not doing the drugs that the doctors prescribe. They're trying to do herbs and natural healing and
Right.
fasting and
Right.
cleansing, and it just became natural. I didn't have to say. One thing the Kemetic legacy taught me is not to prostulate.
Right.
Live your life by ma'at.
Right.
And those who are drawn to that will follow, and they will
Wow.
come and ask you.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I didn't have to try to shove this down anybody in the family's throat. They just saw me over the years, and they saw the
consistent.
consistency. And I have cousins, and all of them are either sick, overweight, they got diabetes. I'm doing backflips and handstands and 100 push-ups a day.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, no, he's 63, 60, oh, no, so I don't have to say
I had
anything.
no idea that you had made. That's a blessing.
I know.
It really is a
I
blessing,
know.
and it is a testament to the Inter. It's a testament
Yes.
to.
All praises to
That's
you.
right. And they
yes,
say that
yes.
when you return to where you're supposed to be, that the path in front of you is laid. And so apparently that's clearly what's happening
And
to
you
you.
clearly see when I do spiritual guidance for people,
Right.
and when I'm doing this, I clearly tell them, I said, listen, what do you see yourself doing in about 4 different categories? Like I'll do your business, I'll do your relationship, social, how do you see yourself health-wise, and how do you see yourself in your community, in your relationship to African people, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I say, you have to see it crystal clear. And do you know that even somewhat successful people, most of them can't see themselves 10 years from now.
That's right.
They don't see that.
No.
So I give them an example. I said, in order for me to help you, I need to know your destination of where you want to go. If you want to go home and you just run out there and jump on any train that come by, you're not going to get home.
No.
Or if you don't know where you're going and you just run out there and jump on a bus,
You might actually think you're home, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you'll be a lost soul.
That's right. That's right.
It might not be the home you want.
That's right.
You know,
That's
the ones
right.
you've adopted, you know. And so I say, once you know where you want to go and you see it clearly, then you say, oh, I'm going to Harlem, 125th Street. I need to get on the A train. And now, what part of 125th Street do you want to land on? Because you might need to go get on the 2, 3.
That's
so
right.
if you tell me where you want to go, and I'm not saying, not what your parents said, not what your peers said, not what your spouse said, where do you say you want to go? So that's what success is. Success is doing what you said you wanted to do. You know, so now the whole comedic legacy can help me help that person get to their destination.
That's right.
And so that's what life coaching is about, you know, and stuff like that. I don't give you a destination.
That's right.
You tell me where you want to go, and I try to help you
Then you're a
road
guide.
be the best person. That's why on
right.
my card it says spiritual guide.
Right. 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 Right.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention your mate, Shashat Miss.
Yes.
Who couldn't be here today, but, you know, she's a wonderful spirit.
Right, and she's a naturopath doctor, spiritual healer. She does basically the work I do. I met her through Queen Afua,
Oh,
you know, so
wonderful.
she was doing divine work, you know, in that avenue, you know, and divine people attract divine
That's
people.
right. That's right.
And you operate your center together.
Right,
That's-
she's,
yeah.
I'm the CEO, and she's the managing director.
That's right.
So the nuts and bolts of, you know, booking and, you know, keeping the finance, she does that. You know, she
Right.
does it. I do
Right.
the creative, you know.
Don't get yourself in trouble. Jack.
I know, but she's going to come after
She's
you.
gonna watch this show now. You know what I mean?
No, but that's something you need, you know,
Yeah.
those type of things. You know, you can't be everything on
That's
all
right.
levels.
It's all about
divine
ma'at.
balance.
Right.
Divine balance, ma'at. And that's what we're trying to emulate as well. So when we see you, we see ourselves.
Yes.
And so that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes,
That-
but
that-
she, you know, she makes things, you know, happen. I inspire them and make sure it's happen. My idea is like, well, let's make it happen.
Right.
That's what you say. Let's
Right.
do it.
Right.
You know, now it's not that can we do it, it's how we going to do it.
Right.
Exactly.
Because we're going to do it.
Right.
You know, that so no fear. I try to travel with no fear. I have
That's
no
a similar
obstacles.
way our relationship occurs.
Well, we
But
see a lot of ourselves
Yeah.
in them. It's amazing.
See, Anika is able to manage the details of any situation, no matter how large or small it is. And so sometimes when I say something sounds great, she gets into the details and she can run it in the way that it's supposed to run. I didn't even understand how it was going to go, but she's the one that's able to put the order in place to allow it to happen. And so,
You know, there's nothing I'd be able to do without her. So I know
definitely.
So we look at it like this. I'm Jehuti Mus, and she is Shashat Mus. And in the legacy, Shashat is the mate
That's
of
right.
Jehuti.
That's right. That's right.
Jehuti is the articulate voice.
That's right.
And Shashat records.
She's
the
the recorder.
librarian,
That's right.
And she's the one that can record the vibration in the universe so that it can be duplicated. So the astronomy, astrology, so that it can mean something.
Beautiful.
You know, so yes.
So talk a little bit about what you do at your center, where we call the Parank or the our shrine or temple. What do you do there? What kind of services do you
I
provide?
look at myself at the center as a cultural custodian. There has to be somebody that says, we are a dynamic people. We are the original people of the planet. We are the foundation of civilization. We are the creators of science, math, all those things that we hold inside in high self-esteem and high personal greatness. And so we can't make it a feel-good thing. So we need somebody to be able to bring the nuts and bolts and the facts that can back that up.
Right.
And so that people can express those talents. So at the center, we help people. Again, it's a holistic healing center. So we bring in practitioners, some of the top holistic healers in the country, do certification at our center. Okay, like Dr. Lila Africa has done several. Dr. Akua, you know, we bring in all these dynamic healers to the center.
That's right.
To certify people, because we have to substantiate ourselves. You can't go to the person who's responsible for your death, your sickness, your degradation,
Yeah.
and have him certify you to heal yourself.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Not
We
if
have
you
a-
want to truly be
Right.
healed.
Exactly.
You know, so
Right.
that's absurd. So we have to be in, and then sometimes we find out that even the modern day healers, they're using a paradigm that's not for us as an African people. So even if it's the right herb, they give us the wrong dosage for melanin-dominated people. So we need to learn, how do we heal African people? How do we heal original people? How do we heal the indigenous people of the land? You know, so the center acts as a spot for that, to bring those people in to learn and to practice their craft. On Mondays and Fridays, we have something called, it's an open forum healing circle. And you can pay a few dollars and come in and get consultation from several different healers. Okay, so you know that's one avenue.
Right.
So you can get the skills, practice the skills, and then we can offer to the community. We offer classes in Medu Necha, the Kemetic spiritual legacy. We just did Opening the Door to Ancient Kemet, the third golden age. And so we do all the golden ages, the four golden ages, and then we start to cycle over again. So we teach the language, the spirituality. We have a Divine Brothers and Divine Sister meeting. We also do Iaheb every month, the Festival of the Moon, so that we can talk about the emotions that control ourselves.
That's right.
The body is about 75% water. The earth surface is 75% water. Water holds more memory than any other compound molecule on the planet Earth. It holds memory. And so what you speak into your water resides who you are.
That's
if
right.
you speak ugly, you become ugly. You speak ma'at, you become ma'at.
That's right.
You know, so we try people, watch your self-talk. You know, people will, oh, I'm so clumsy. No. Your body's saying, oh, you think that was clumsy. We got something really waiting for you. You know,
Well, now you're going to become clumsy.
right,
Because you've laid
because
that
you've
out.
already laid that out.
That's right.
You know, and so we try to help people with their self-talk. You need a positive self-talk, you know, because then you become that.
That's right.
You know, what do those books say? In the beginning was the
word.
and the
That's
word
right.
was, you know, and so you are a creator. Some people are afraid when we tell them that you are a living God, that you are a mortal God.
That's right.
And that you can take images in your mind and bring them into existence,
right.
just like the creator does.
That's right.
You're not the creator now.
That's
Don't
right.
Don't get carried away
That's
with
right.
that.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
But
That's
you're
right.
a mini creator.
That's right.
You know, and we are divine beings.
The analogy
So
we usually use is the drop of the ocean to the entire ocean.
Yes, yes.
You know,
that's
if,
an excellent analogy.
If someone
Yes.
who was looking at that drop of the ocean under a microscope, they would say, this is a drop of the ocean. It has all the properties of the ocean. It is not the ocean,
Right.
Yeah.
but it is still the ocean.
Right, and it can bring you life and all those
Exactly,
things.
and we have to
That's
look at ourselves in that manner.
So
as
we
well.
do that in the center. We have holistic food prep. A lot of people getting into vegetarianism, but they think that's going to Burger King and getting a veggie burger.
That's right.
With French fries and a
shake.
Coke. Yeah, you know. So no, that's not vegetarianism.
No.
You're just not eating meat. You know,
Yeah.
that's not.
They become starchitarian.
Right,
Starchitarians.
right. And most vegetarians are
Starchitarians.
starchitarians.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
they wonder
real.
why I can't lose the weight, or you know,
Yeah.
I'm still having problems. You know, no, you need to learn food combining. You know, some people are alcoholics. They don't drink alcohol, but the food combining that they creates alcohol in their
in their
body,
stomach. That's
Yeah.
right.
and they love that feeling.
That's
and
right.
They're living alcoholics,
That's
but they
right.
call themselves vegetarians.
That's
But
right.
yet they got all the problems that people who are eating meat have.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's
we
right.
teach. So we do a food prep once a month, and we teach, and the majority of it is live. You know, and we really encourage men because we got a lot of bachelors out here.
Yeah.
You know, and they're eating at McDonald's, Burger King, and we are sick. The people who used to be the most long-lived now have become the sickest.
That's right.
Because we've adopted somebody else's lifestyle, somebody else's food. You should actually, if we are people from the tropics, we should be eating foods that come from the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer.
But we also talk about eating within the right seasons.
Yes.
You know, now we're in a point where people can get whatever they want any time of the year,
That's
and
right.
then wonder why their bodies aren't functioning properly. Because the seasons know when you're supposed to be fasting, when
That's
you're supposed
right.
to have your bitters, when you're supposed to be
Nature
doing certain
knows.
things.
They come from the earth.
But you
the
said
way you
something
need it.
really important. We're not listening to nature. You see, the Western society is at war with nature. And so if you're trying to be a good American, you're at war with nature.
That's right.
And even if you're not, you're ignorant of nature. And so understanding nature will help you do those things you said, fasting during the seasons and getting in, eating the proper fruits during this, the seasons and stuff like that. I mean, but that you have to get in touch with nature. Most people are not. So that's
Understanding your
one thing
cycles.
that the Mfundishi does. When I teach them, it puts them back in touch with nature.
That's right.
Like I show them, that's a picture of the hawk vulture. And then we talk about the characteristics. That's the picture of a falcon.
That's right.
That's the pintail duck. That's it. And they learn. What's that bug? No, that's a scarab. We talk about what is its properties.
Right.
And people are amazed.
Yeah.
They got PhDs in the Western world and they don't know
And I have no
Anything
idea.
about that.
Right, right. Right.
And the Mfundishi puts you back in touch with nature.
We talk about that on our tours as well.
That's
the
right.
importance of understanding animals and nature and
Yes.
knowing these characteristics. Why is the vulture a symbol of motherhood?
That's right. And of course, when you read Western scholars, they get it all confused.
Well, see, and they don't push the spiritual aspect.
At all.
Every nation that talked about ancient Kemet said it was the most spiritual people
That's right.
that they have ever known. But Egyptology does not deal with
At all.
spirituality
At all. In fact, they've gotten to a point where they have sort of focused on anyone that talks about the spiritual side of ancient Kemet, which actually isn't a side at all. It was a ground of everything.
That was the foundation.
It's the foundation of everything. What has happened now is if you begin to talk about Kemetic spirituality, you become kooky.
But
You become kooky.
Who's doing it? The metaphysics and New Age and people who are in like quantum physics.
That's right, because now the sciences have come back to the source.
Full circle.
That's right.
So quantum physics is
Right.
actually proven what the Kemetic legacy
right.
has been saying for 5,000,
That's right.
6,000
That's
years.
right. That's right. That's
that
right.
there is some force, that's controlling everything. There is some force
Beyond
that
you.
also exists inside of us.
And they've also proven that force is that exists in everything in the spiritual plane. So that
Yes.
chair has the same force
alive.
that these
Yeah.
humans have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they've proved it with science.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they used to call us hocus pocus
That's
when they
right.
said the rock is alive, the tree is alive.
That's
Hey,
right.
Come on, the rock is alive.
That's right.
You
It's
know?
not moving. Yes, it is
Yes,
moving.
it is.
That's
it's,
right.
It's taking in energy and giving out
That's
energy.
right.
Therefore, it's alive.
That's right.
And we're connected to it. And so now that those high sciences are actually proving that we've been correct all along, and they're just Johnny come latelys,
That's
if I
right.
can use that terminology.
That's absolutely fair. That's
like
absolutely
they're getting
fair.
into crystals now.
That's
the
right.
whole concept of colorology and crystallology comes from ancient Kemet.
That's right.
Exactly.
In fact, how are you going to learn crystallology and you don't know colorology because the color manifests the vibration
Usually
that's in the
dictates
crystal.
that.
Yeah.
And the challenge is sometimes there are a few Western scholars now. Richard Wilkinson, I think, is one of them that acknowledges that color is important. So that even when you see a piece of sa, or as what they would call jewelry,
Right.
and you see it and they say, well, why are they always in this color? Now they're beginning to say, well, there's a symbology that is occurring here. And if we understand the symbols, then we'll be able to understand why this symbol occurs in this place and not in this place. There's a really divine order to all things.
Yes.
And when you're able to receive all of it, you're able to understand what our Kemetic ancestors were trying to leave to us.
Beautiful.
Very
It's
powerful.
interesting how they're using this now, because even at my dentist's office, they have these different color shades to put on you to generate different types of energy while dealing with certain types of dental procedures. But, it's no longer unusual.
That's right.
It's now holistic medicine.
Yes. The recovery room now is a pastel
A particular
blue.
color.
Yeah.
That's
The
right.
healing room is a pastel green.
That's right.
The waiting room, we're going to make it tan or beige so you can be patient. Right.
So somebody knows this.
So they're
Yes.
starting to use
Yes.
this now. The malls are using it to get into your wallet. They have running water in all of the malls because it creates negative ions, which is helpful. So,
Well,
your
they also-
plants in, they bring the
That's
green
right.
in.
That's right.
So you're just charging your life away.
That's right.
You're broke and you're happy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, they're also talking about McDonald's, the fact
That's
that
right.
someone intentionally chose the colors of orange and
Particularly
red
orange, which
because
deals
it
with your
makes
hunger
you hungry.
centers. And right. So when you get in there, you go supersize everything.
Yeah.
Everything must be
Supersize
supersized, including your car that you need to drive on the way home because you've been supersized. And so this science is now being used by people. Of course, they're not being used for things that are beneficial to us, but people are now recognizing that our sciences are actually real.
But we're, this so-called, this is Ha'ap, the age of Aquarius. And that is the age of enlightenment for those who are seekers.
That's right.
And so what we'll see in this age, 2012, is really about people who are seeking versus people who are not. And there will be a clear line of demarcation. Just like the middle class is evaporating, it's
Right.
people who got money and people who don't.
Who don't, that's right.
And it's going to be like secret societies are vanishing. Because, you know, they got some nice handshakes and some secret, but you can get that on the internet.
Yes, you
Exactly.
can.
Yeah.
You know,
you can.
so they're actually almost paying people to get into the, you know, at the turn of the century, 1900s, for a male, the most prestigious thing was to be a Mason,
A
or in
Mason.
Masonic order,
That's right.
Prince Hall, or somebody, you know. Now, you know, you can just, you know, everybody got that information,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
that's the past. Religion is becoming a thing of the past because religion was set to control people's minds, so have a predictability of your behavior. But now, if I understand that I am a mini creator and that the world, the universe is at my fingertips if I choose to, the religion can't hold you anymore.
No.
Think, a lot of religions don't even want you to meditate because now you're getting in tune with the real creator.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want you to hear that. They'll tell you that voice you hear is Satan, you know. No.
Folks, those of you at home who are not familiar with what Mfundishi is talking about, simply look at the Vatican's orders about the movie
Oh,
The
my
Avatar.
goodness. Yeah.
That's all you have to do. So if you're
And
sitting
their
here,
orders will tell them
if
what they
you're
want.
sitting here and just saying, "What is he talking about?" Just look at what they said about the fact that people should not be watching the movie and why.
Yeah.
And what their major piece was, we should not be worshiping the earth. Nature is not a divine force.
See, so that's
This is their edict.
That's anti-ancient kemet.
That's right.
Now, what we also need to put in there is that the Vatican has more information on ancient kemet than any other organization. They only teach it to. So they are following
That's right.
some divine principles,
That's right.
books that no one else has, that they've stolen, you know, and usurped that they have that no one else has
That's right.
is privy to.
That's right.
Yep.
And they trying to keep us following the bouncing ball, which keep us enslaved.
That's right.
Yes.
You know,
That's right.
so no, don't get in touch with the earth.
No, why would
don't
you do
get in
that?
touch with
Right.
the universe.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Don't even do
become
that
too
astrology
powerful.
stuff.
That's
That's
right.
spooky.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, wait a minute. These planetary forces are energies.
They're
that
actually in control
everything.
of things that
Yeah.
happen on the planet. They would never want anyone to, because then you don't have to ask anybody for assistance. You know,
Yeah.
if you begin to realize that you are a microcosm,
Yeah.
and that all those answers are within you.
So all those religions are doing that. Even we're not going to mention, you know, various religious names.
That's
but
right.
Anytime you have a religion and say you can't use your cultural icons, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a religion where the images they project don't look like
Or
you,
alien.
then that's a problem. Or if they tell you don't use no images,
Yeah.
that means they're trying to disconnect you
That's right.
from your ancestral greatness.
That's right.
And we have to watch that.
That's right.
My advice for those people who are watching, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Or realize that you're already drinking the Kool-Aid. You might say, "Oh, wow, I thought that was water. It's Kool-Aid."
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's
Well,
talk about some other skills.
We need to talk. We
Yeah.
can talk to you all
I
day.
know. There's so
this
much
is an
that we can
hour-long
go
show.
to.
So, folks, all the other discussion that we have, you'll have to talk to us on the side to have that part of that conversation. But definitely, we wanted to talk to you about your connection to the martial arts. Now, I know that it's hard to compartmentalize the work that you've done. It's very hard because it's been wide-ranging. But definitely, you are one of the world's foremost masters
Yeah, I've
of
been a-
African martial arts. So we need to talk to you about that. We can't have you on the show and not have that
Well,
part
I've been
of
a
you.
6 times national, international champion.
That's right.
You know, so I've traveled all around the world to China, Asia. You know, I even won a grand championship in Puerto Rico, England. Okay. So, but I started out in Bando, Burmese boxing,
Oh, wow.
and that is very spiritual. They go to the drums, they get entranced, they do all those, and they don't try to hide that this comes from Africa.
Wow.
They are serious about, their connection, to Africa, But their motto is that you should be able to take all you can dish out.
Yeah.
Now, I know I can't take some of the stuff I can dish out, How do you tune your nose up to take a blow? How do you tune your eye out,
Take all that you can dish out.
And so that I'm not a follower of that philosophy anymore. The idea is don't take any punishment.
That's right. Learn how not to take
right,
it now.
not because we used to practice punching each other, just taking stuff,
wow.
Yeah, that was a philosophy. And I went from Bando into Kung Fu. And I liked Kung Fu because I was into
Nature-based
Hung Gar, right?
Right.
And it had the hard and the soft. So I said, oh, I can relate to this, you know? And I became I matriculated to an 8th degree master, you know, in the Shaolin Temple.
Wow.
But then in 1980, I went back to Tanzania and I got in touch with some ancient masters who said, we taught them that.
That's right.
Let me show you
That's
something.
right.
And I saw people do supernatural feats. And I said, this is where I need to be. So I began to wing myself into the African martial arts. And by 1985, I was a master in the African martial arts.
Wow.
And by 1992, I was a Grand Master and became an Mfundishi. So that's the titles. Malanga is a master. And then Mfundishi is like a great Grand Master. So I was beautiful. Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark, Haru Ankara Samaj, all of them were there at my crowning as an Mfundishi.
Wow.
You know, and so that was a title. So even though I have 2 doctor's degrees, 3 master's degrees in the Western world, I don't call by myself by those titles.
Right.
I call myself by Mfundishi.
Mfundishi, that's right.
Right, because that was given to me by my teachers and people that I look up to, you know, and I know then that makes me a custodian of the African martial arts and of the African way of life, because that's where the Ka in Haru comes in.
That's right.
Because Haru is not a champion for champion's sake.
That's right.
He's a champion of the people because he brings Ma'at
That's right.
back.
That's right.
So, you know, that's my existence. So when I teach the martial science, it's to bring Ma'at back into your personal life, into your family, into your community, and hopefully into your nation.
That's right.
And we even talked about in the names that you give to the particular arts that you're using, you're almost chanting to certain Nturu, trying to pull in certain energies.
Yes.
So we were having a
extremely
difficult time
important.
trying to come up with one name, and there is no one name to the martial arts in our understanding.
Even Kupagani and Gumi is a generic umbrella name. And the various masters of Kupagani and Gumi are masters in different fields. I'm one of the only ones that's in the Kemetic, that I'm a master of the Kemetic, the Happy Valley. So that goes from Egypt all the way down to Tanzania, all the way to South Africa.
Wow.
You know, the whole Eastern Africa, you know. We have other Mfundishis who, like Mfundishi Maasi, he does the Congolese boxing, the spear in hand from the Congo. We have other ones who do the grappling from West Africa, Hati Kalindi E, you know, these powerful brothers, you know. So they're all grand masters, but they've Africa is a big continent. It's
Yeah, of
huge.
course.
It's not a country. People
right.
like think,
That's
you know,
right.
like China's a country.
That's right.
Japan is a country.
That's right.
Africa's a continent.
It's a continent.
You know, and we need to get people
With many different people.
right and
Right.
many different cultures.
That's right.
Like when somebody say, "Oh, let's follow African culture," I'm like, "Which one?"
Which one?
I know, exactly.
There's not one.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
Italy,
right.
y'all, where
That's
it's
right.
just Italian culture.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Africa is a continent.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so there's hundreds of Pacific cultures who have different foods, different clothing,
Languages,
different
like
languages.
2,000
Traditional
languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not talking about
Yeah.
languages that were imposed upon
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Traditional languages.
Yes.
And then traditional dialects of those languages.
Yes.
And so we're talking about a very diverse people.
So my specific part of the African martial arts
Comes
is
from
the
the
Happy
Happy
Valley.
Valley. That's right.
Right.
Wonderful.
So the freezes in my books, well, both of them, Kupagani and I show pictures from Beni Hassan.
I was going to ask you about Betty.
Mahez. I'm taking a group there this summer.
Wow.
From July 27th to August 7th, I'm taking a group to Egypt, to Kemet. And
We'll be there
that's
at the
going to
same
be
time.
one
We'll
of
be there
our
at the same
stops.
time.
Yeah.
That's one of our stops. We're going to this temple, the city of Akhenaten.
Right.
We're going to Mahez. That was
Right.
the ancient name. They call it Beni Hassan today.
Right.
And we're going to video inside of the tombs
You're
and
gonna
everything.
take a look at-
and
I
we're
think
going to
it's
do
Tomb
forms.
15,
We're going to
15,
do.
correct? It's Tomb 15 that has most of the drawings, I think it is? I think
Yes,
it's Tomb
we're going to
15.
go inside
Right.
and the outside. I got pictures of me standing right in front of the tomb
Right.
in the book.
Right.
We're going to video it. Did you see our video, The Tekken?
Yes.
Of
So the
course.
same level, the same videographers who did that are coming with us to Egypt. So
Okay.
we're going to do a very professional shoot, you know, everything.
We'll be there,
and
so
it's
we're
going
gonna
to
try
be
to sneak in a little bit.
We'll be running our own tour.
right.
And
the
so we're-
Kemetic origins of the martial science and its influence on world martial arts. So it's going to be like a 2-hour video.
That's right.
Just harmonized, and we're going to show the timeline.
That's right.
When we were doing this, the Japanese hadn't got to Japan yet.
That's right.
The 7 islands of Japan. When we did this, the first dynasty of Shang, there is no Tibetan monks. Buddhism
right.
hasn't been discovered
That's right,
yet.
that's right.
There is no Taoism.
That's
this
right.
is 2,000 years before Confucianism. We're going to break it down so they need to see the timeline.
And let's be clear
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
even the Chinese tell you that
Yes.
African priests taught them at the Shaolin temples.
Yes.
If you look at their original silk paintings, you'll see African
When you still
priests.
go there today,
Yeah.
you still see Africans on the
That's
wall
right.
teaching.
Of course.
That's right.
But
African
see, it's not their
Buddhists,
job
yeah.
to push that.
No.
It's our job. They're pushing their culture.
Right.
Right.
And now I know you're going to grace us with some forms. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see this.
It's going to be incredible.
We're going to have 3 different forms you mentioned.
Yes,
that
I'm
you're
going to do
gonna
an internal form that all students learn within our system. And our system is AHA Kemet. AHA, the black indigenous carbon warrior of the universe that came from the noon. Triple blackness,
Right.
sea of hydrogen. So we start
Magnificent.
Uh-huh.
Magnificent.
Right.
So we start there, and then I'll go into 2 animal forms just so they can see where you notice in China their most sacred dance, even in Chinese New Year, is the lion's dance. There's
Right.
no lions in China. I'll say that again. There's no,
No
there are no
lions
lions in
in
China.
China.
in China.
That's right.
And so where did they get the sacred lion's dance from?
Wonderful.
I'm
Wow.
going to show people where that comes from.
Right. Right. Right.
And I happen to be one of the few people, when I was in Shaolin, one of the first non-Chinese at Chinatown on Chinese New Year to do the lion's dance.
Wow.
Wow.
But I had the mask, so most of the Chinese didn't know there was a black guy behind the mask. You know, they probably would have turned a little bit their
drums a little
teeth,
bit better than the rest of them.
You know, they're like, you know, if I had to like lift the mask up, they're like, ah! So I can't.
And now your 3rd form would be what?
Djibouti.
Right.
Djibouti.
So I'll do Djibouti,
Okay.
the hard
Wonderful.
and the soft, so that they see the hard and the soft. Because again, listening audience, nature rewards all research and will tell you how to be the creator within.
That's right.
And so you.
So with that,
imitate nature.
folks, we are pleased to be able to showcase Babla Mfundishi as he shows you these forms.
Make sure that you're looking carefully. This is the time, if you're not recording this show, that you need to get in touch with this man, because you have classes, you have
Right.
many individuals who
70
taught.
West 125th Street,
That's right.
here in Harlem.
Right.
So, you know, the heart of Harlem. If 125th Street is the heart, and so we're right there in the heart.
Wonderful.
So without further ado,
Mfundishi, Jehuti Mes, Ka and Heru El Salim.
Duante.
Djibouti. Djibouti, Haru, Nib, Hu. Simba. Djibouti, Haru, Nib, Hu, Pet, Ta, Dwa.
Welcome back. We really hope that you enjoyed the incredible Kemetic martial arts demonstration done by Brother Mfundishi, Jehutimes Ka and Haru El Salim. We're really looking forward to also having him back on the show to talk to us more about what he's doing at his center, to introduce our audience to his divine mate, Cheshatmes, and really to get them to talk more about some of the incredible things that they've brought into fruition at the center. For example, his language classes and some of the HESIs that they're doing. It's a wonderful place for our audience, hopefully, to explore.
Yes. And please, remember, we're on Facebook. Give us your feedback. Let us know how you feel about the episodes you've just seen or any of the other episodes that you may have seen in the past. You can also let us know if there's anything you'd like to see on our show. Please spread the word and let everyone know that we are here. We're entering other cities, so please let them know. We'll be in Brooklyn, hopefully by this summer. We've already hit Atlanta, and we plan on spreading to as many cities as possible. You can also visit our website at www.kemeticlegacy.com.
So please, keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're thinking. Give us ideas of shows you'd like to see, and we'll be sure that we communicate with you as well. With that, The divine force in us greets the divine force in you. Hetepu.
Hetepu.